we have created a database. We named that database Students Classroom Database. And we want to begin to enter information into our database. But first we have to create our table, and then we want to make some additional modifications before we start adding information. So the first thing, we're going to go ahead and create our table in our database. So now we want to go to Create. We're going to create a table. Now, boys and girls, simple as that, we have created our table. We want to start adding fields. We want to have add our fields. So we're in our data sheet view. We want to use our design view. Now in our design view, we're going to name our table, and this we're going to use some information that we collected from our student classroom database. So let's see, we want student birthday or birthdays. How about that? Now click OK. Now we've named our table. In the first field, we want to have the student's first name. It's the first field in our database. We need to specify what type of information will go into this. So our first name is made up of words. Words is known as text. So the type of information that will be entered into this field will be text. What's a text field? The second field would be last names. Again, it's made up of words, so the type of data or information for this field would be a text field. So what else would we want to know? The birth month. And again, this would be made up of words, so it would be a text field. What about the birth date? Now this will consist of numbers. So this time we want to change it to a number field. It's not text anymore. This is a numerical field. We'll add another field, but let's do that at a later time. We'll add another field. There are other modifications we can do with our database, and again, the view that we're in the design view. And we know, boys and girls, the design view is used to create field names and data types, and that's exactly what we've done. We've created field names, and we have created the data type for our fields. Alright. Now, boys and girls, what else we can do in the design view? We can move our fields in our design. Let's say we've made a mistake. We want to have the birth dates before the birth month. Just let's say we wanted to. Okay, so what we would do is highlight that whole field, and then to move the field, boys and girls, we'll click on the field that we want to move, and while holding the mouse down, we'll move the field to where we want it to be. Okay, Now see, we have moved the field. Now we have first name, birth date. Oops, we don't want our birth dates to be there, so let's hold that cursor down and move that field again. Now we have first name, last name, birth dates, birth month. Okay, if that's the way we want to have it set up. But I think that it would be better if we have it set up just like this. First name, last name, birth month, birth date. Alright. Now that we know how to move fields around, there's some other things that we can do, or modifications that we can do within the design view, and that would be to add a new field. We can add a new field. If we've created our database and discovered that we had a new field that we wanted to add, we can certainly do that. We can add a new field. Let's say, boys and girls, we want to put a new field in between a field that we've already created. Okay, so all we have to do, boys and girls, is right click that field, and we want to insert a row. So now we've made a place for a new field. Let's say we do not want that field there. Just select the row that we do not want, right click, and we can delete the row. Okay. So again, we want to add a new row. I'm going to right click that row and insert a new row. Alright. Now, all we have to do now is name that field. And let's say we want to name this field ages. Now, the age of the student. Student's age. What type of field or data do you think this would be? If you said a number field, you would be correct. How do you think we could move the student age field below the birth date field? What could we do? Again, we could right click that field, and while holding the cursor down, move the field to where we want it to be. So now we have done that. It's very good. There are other things that we can do on the field while we're in our design view. Let's take a look and see what this information that we have now, what it would look like if we was in another view. Let's look at the data sheet view. Okay, yes, we want to save it. So we want to save it. This is the data sheet view. So now, boys and girls, you see we have our different fields. Of course, our fields we know as columns. We have our rows. Okay. Here we can add a new field if we like to. Right? It's just a lot easier to add your new fields and everything in your design view, because then you can go ahead and say what type of data each field is.